flare-ups. Now, the first thing we do when we get eczema is we reach for the cortisol cream most of the time. But I'm going to ask you this question. What happens when you stop using the cream? Do your symptoms completely disappear, or do they recur? Now, in many instances, the symptoms reappear. What is quite interesting though in children is the symptoms disappear because, and I've always thought this was the case, and I had it affirmed during my study, that reconnection of mum rubbing the cream into child, that reconnection is actually part of the healing process, and that allows the brain to go into, I'm safe again, my mother is here, I can heal, and the body will respond in kind to that belief. And that's a placebo effect. That is the belief that my mum is holding on to me and reconnecting with me and rubbing that cream in that allows the body to go through a healing process. Now, I just want to share what happened to me with my recurring eczema that I had for 7 years. And it was, and I can't believe this, but I so thought I'd taken photos of my eczema, but I hadn't. So basically I had this eczema that was on my right foot that kept flaring up. And I noticed it disappeared. I went to London for the first time in 11 years after being away for 11 years. And when I got back from London, my symptoms for eczema flared up. Went away. So I had a whole year, which was just this last year up until March, where my eczema had gone away. And I remember the whole time thinking, what was the connection here? What was the connection between feet and the flare-ups? And for me, it was all about feeling connected. Now, ever since I'd left London, I'd felt a huge disconnection to London, and all I wanted to do was go back. I just wanted to go back. So my eczema healed, but then when I came back to move back to New Zealand, December this year, my eczema flared up again en masse, and I just thought, what on earth is going on here? And then I realized for me, it was connecting back to home. And my foot is all about the direction I move in life. Feet are all about what direction, because feet are what guide you. But the thing is, for me, is the cause of the eczema initially was a trauma. Now, a trauma is something that is called a Uden. It's unexpected, it's dramatic, it's isolating, and it has no known strategies to deal with it. Now, that's based on your perspective. What is traumatic, unexpected, dramatic, isolating, and no known resources to deal with it, to you, is completely different for someone else. And my trigger for my eczema, which I found out at my biocompass, was the suicide death of my ex-boyfriend, my first ever boyfriend. Now, I sat on the chair, and here's what happens when you tune in to the body's energy, when you actually listen to the body's physical symptoms and you track the symptoms and you start asking questions of your body. My coach came into the room and he said, what does your foot represent for you in relation to that guy? Because what happened is I got the eczema after the news of his death, and I've always known there's been a connection there. And he said, what is the connection for you? And I thought about it, and I just had to be quiet and sit still. And he said, what's your foot? Is it to be touched? Is it how you put your foot in the shoe? He said, just think about that. And I thought about it. And within 30 seconds, I kid you not, I just had this wave of emotion come over me. Burst into tears, sobbing. And Jodie Ross, who's probably going to watch this video, she was there and she saw my reaction. Now, the body doesn't lie. My body remembers. What was the connection? My ex-boyfriend, who was my first ever love, I was only 16 or 17 when I met him, but you always remember your first love. He was the first person to ever tickle my feet other than my mum and dad. And I always remembered that about him. And so I thought about every time I'd go, can you tickle my feet? It would always be my right foot that I'd put out for him to tickle. And the interesting, and I'm not even going to the details, but anything to do with the right hand side of the body, if you're a right-handed dominant person, and it's got nothing to do with what hand you're right with, is about an issue with someone who you see as your equal or a peer, someone you're in an equal relationship with. And that was what he was for me. And it's also about connectedness. And that was my connection to him tickling my feet. But of course, now, because I've moved back, I went back to London, resolved that desire to be back there, that yearning, came back to New Zealand, and I've now dealt with the underlying cause of the re-trigger of my eczema. I've not had eczema now since March of this year, and I can tell you now, not once did I put any form of, I put on some natural remedy back in February this year that my friend Nicole Nicholson gave me. She's an incredible naturopath nutritionist, but other than that, I put no topical treatments on my eczema. It just healed. It healed itself. And anyone who keeps asking me, how do you feel about being back in New Zealand? I say, I'm so happy. This is home. I am grounded. This is where I'm meant to be. And funnily enough, the eczema on the bottom of my foot cleared up when I moved home. And it was only the stuff on the top of my foot that was getting re-triggered. So I've not had a flare up in over 3 months. And I'm happy to say I do not believe my eczema will come back. So here's what I'm trying to explain to you. There are physical toxicities that cause skin issues such as eczema and psoriasis. However, and I did this with a client just recently, I sat with her and got her to track the story of her eczema with me. And it was amazing to see that her issues were always prevalent when she had resolution for an unwanted physical contact with a person, or she'd lost contact. As an 18-month-old, her sibling was born, and that meant, or 13-month-old, her mum did no longer had time for contact with her, and her body's response to that was to go into an eczema flare-up so bad that it was lasted with her for years. And when I asked her the question, do you ever feel connected to your mother in the way that you would have liked, her answer was no. And then she's caught in a hanging healing with her symptoms failing to resolve because the belief and the perceptions still existed. Fortunately, she went through life, met her now husband, very happily married, etc., etc. She's got no eczema symptoms anymore. And that's because she took all the right sort of supplements, natural remedies, and then she also, through osmosis, healed the underlying cause. So, take a breath, Sonia. Eczema is a separation conflict. It does not matter what you think it means, it's what it means for the person with eczema. And that's why we have to honour every individual's journey when it comes to why they're sick. And that is why Biocompass is so profound, because it doesn't say what I think it should say. It's what it means for you. What part of the body does it represent? What does that mean for you? What is the belief system you're running? Now, what happens when you suddenly realise why you're sick? That starts a healing process in itself, because the body then acknowledges the connection between the mind and the body. Anyway, I want to leave it at that because I've been rabbiting for 15 minutes. I have got, my website's down at the moment because it's in a rebuild. However, you can contact me on Facebook. I am doing a 1-month introductory special for Biocompass analysis. Because of the profoundness of this tool, and because I'm still learning the ropes, I'm offering it for $147, which is really, really so very, very good value for money to find out what's actually caused you to be sick. So I'm here to talk to anyone who wants to know more. Anyone who's ever contacted me and asked me questions, you know I always respond. I really just want people to know that there is actually a way to deal with their illness and diseases, and that there's hope, and that you're not the bloody victim of the we don't know what's caused this. I don't believe that. I never have, I never will, and now we know there's actually a way to find out what's caused this. So if you want to know more, get in contact with me. Hopefully you've learned something by watching this video. If you know people with eczema, please share the video. Referrals and word of mouth are the most incredible way for me to help people and get out there to a wider audience. So thank you so much. I hope some of this has made sense. And I can't believe I actually remembered everything that was on my list without even having to look down. It just shows how passionate I am. Anyway, I'd love to show you my foot and show you the non-eczema on my foot. However, I haven't had a pedicure for a while, so my feet aren't looking the best. But yeah, if you want to know more, get in touch. That's how you get rid of eczema. Mwah. Heal the separation conflict. See you later, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great week.